the show must go on. And far as Cincinnati, man, I put on. Tunes made another flame beat for me to cook on. Raised arms, closed fists, yeah, too strong. Team NI, chop it up at the chop shop. Top notch with the king flow, the hot shot. Cop squats in, listen to the real. Jumping like hopscotch, nobody harder than, oh, no, think not. Not only citywide, but nationwide. Superlatives, keep it locked like them Haitian guys. Put the truth in the airwaves, we talk about it. Brand new like the templates, let's be about it. Who got the info by the AM? Jono be the rapper, got them jamming when they play him. Staying in my lane, they ain't gotta okay him. Who the host with the scoop? Yeah, they gon' say him. Ivy, so superlative like a bag of drippos. Show you where the bricks at, Cincinnati red tag. One time where my people at. Team NI where my people at. It's the 513, yeah, you know the flow. What's the word, Nate? Let them know the show. One time where my people at. Team NI where my people at.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back. Live, local, and vocal. Plugged into the masses, and as always, ready to rock, ready to talk about the issues, some more serious than others. Welcome back to the last honest place in America, at least the last honest place in Cincinnati media. This is the Nathan Ivey Show. I feel like I sound a little weird here. Let me adjust a few knobs here on my trusty mic processor. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Man, I want to talk about a lot of local issues, a lot of local stuff I want to talk about this morning. There's been so many things that have been happening over the last week that I feel like we need to catch up on, or I just feel like it's still relevant. I feel like it's still relevant and we should discuss it. I want to talk about what people are calling landmark legislation that City Council passed this week that could address a lot. It could address an issue that we have talked about at length that was proposed by a member of Cincinnati City Council. I want to read Stephanie Dumas' decision to hire a new chief of staff. Stephanie Dumas is an African-American. She made history becoming the first ever commissioner in the state of Ohio. She's not just the first ever Hamilton County commissioner, as I understand it. She's the first African-American female to hold that position in the state of Ohio. So that is huge. And if you don't know, shortly after she became a Hamilton County commissioner, there were news reports coming out that there was some friction between herself, a member of her staff. The former chief of staff was a man named Paul Sohi, who I believe was a dentist. And apparently he alleged that there was something racial going on. You know what I'm saying? And apparently he has some not so good conversations with some of the Hamilton County commissioners and their members of their staff as well. Now, at this point in the conversation, we're talking about 3 Democrats. These are all Democrats for the first time in Hamilton County history, I believe. You know, with the election of Stephanie Summerall Dumas, you know, you had an all-Democrat Hamilton County Commission. So if they're all Democrats, why can't they get along? Why aren't they getting along? And Paul Sohi, not so long ago, we talked about it because we've been following his story. He decided he was out of here. I'm out of here, man. I ain't got to deal with this shit. No, I'm out. And now Stephanie Summerall Dumas has selected a man who is locally known. He's even locally known behind the microphone. He does a weekly show here, and not with Sin Digital, but he does a weekly show in this market. And he's going to become her new chief of staff. I'm talking about Bishop Bobby Hilton. Now read that for me. Read that situation and tell me, what do you see? You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot to read there. Hold on. Bishop Bobby Hilton, you mean the president of the National Action Network here in Cincinnati? That guy? The man who used to be front and center during the whole Tracy Hunter scenario? You mean that guy? My old good buddy? I might reiterate and tell you the first time I ever met Bishop Bobby Hilton, it's a humdinger. It's worth the time. It's worth the time. Yeah, this week has been just, locally, man, just a lot going on. There's a lot going on. We had one mayoral candidate. Now we have none. And then there was none. That's the name of that flow when it comes to the Cincinnati mayor. And then there was none. We had one African-American male, Christopher Smitherman, this week on the anniversary of his wife's untimely death due to cancer. He decided that, or he announced that he was not running. He's going to be with the family. Who doesn't respect it? But still worth a conversation. I'm going to reach out to Miss Carolyn Jones this morning, who's the president of the Cincinnati School Board, to see if she might be available for a really quick conversation sometime soon to talk about numerous things, not the least of which is the fact that yesterday there is an agreement between the city of Cincinnati and also the Cincinnati Public School Board, a tentative agreement, T-words, on tax abatements. The issue there is city council making decisions to take some money out of CPS's pocket, basically. You water all the way down. You know what I'm saying? As it relates, like, are people paying their fair share? This is a serious, serious conversation. And as I'm looking at the image here, I was not at the press conference, but as I'm looking at the image here, I see our good buddy Ben Lindy, who is now the new school board member, along with the other school board members. I see Mike Morawski. I see, as I said, Carolyn Jones, who in this particular article is at the podium. I see Mr. Smitherman, the aforementioned Mr. Smitherman, vice mayor, along with the mayor, John Cranley. All of these folks, as I understand it, are Democrats. If that, I don't know what that means, but I'm just telling you. Let's check out Ben Lindy. I'm sure he's going to do a great job. Yes, so I want to dig into all of this morning. I want to dig into all of it. Tell me what you think. And we do have a number where you can call into the show. We are a very interactive show. I mean, I say the most interactive show of any other talk show in the city of Cincinnati. You can call, you can email, you can text, you can interact with the choppers. You may hear me use the term choppers or cyber Wakanda. That I'm just referring to our chat room. We call it a little something different on this show. All right. Yes. Now, Bishop Bobby Hilton is Stephanie Dumas' pastor at the Word of Deliverance Church out in Forest Park. As I said earlier, he's also the head of the local chapter of the National Action Network. So you tell me I go down there to the Hamilton County Commissioners, just stop on by, Bobby Hilton's in there? Does he really have time? I mean, I don't know what the man's time is, but I mean, he's a pastor. I know he does a weekly show. He's the president of NAN. He's a very busy man, I would imagine. Family man. Does he have time to really be down there? What the hell is going on? What is going on? Cincinnati's growing Asian Americans say they want political attention. We'll get into that. Yeah, they say, look, we here. We here, yo. We ain't going nowhere. We are here. All quite interesting. As I said, we have a lot of things to talk about. Also, don't forget, your Ohio Kings will be back in action on Saturday, 6 p.m. if tickets are available over at Cincinnati State. And you can go to their website, find them on Facebook. Just search Ohio Kings and stay connected. Cincinnati's newest Black-owned attraction. Yeah. If you care about such matters, Cincinnati has a new parks director. Did you know that? Her name is Kara Kish, white female. She's been the interim director since the former director stepped down like mid last year. And she's going to oversee 125 employees who maintain 5,000 acres of public park space. That's a very important job. The public park space in the city of Cincinnati is one of the attractions of the city. It's a jewel. If you talk to out-of-towners who come to Cincinnati, they'll say great things about it. Yeah. If you're going to be at the Women's March tomorrow, then I want to give you an update because there's going to be some downtown streets that are going to be closed down. Marion Way between Central Avenue and East Pete Rose Way shut down starting at noon. Elm Street between Marion Way and 4th 4th Street between Vine Street and Elm, Vine Street between Freedom Way and 4th Street, Ray Street between 2nd Street and Freedom Way between Elm Street and Joe Nuxle Way. All the roads should be reopened by 3:30 p.m. tomorrow. If you're going to be in downtown Cincinnati over the weekend, in particular tomorrow, just a heads up, between 12 and 3:30, those particular streets are going to be shut down. Good morning to you. Yeah, good morning. Come on in. Read this situation for me. Tell me what you think. Why would Stephanie Dumas? I mean, I'm mad. The job pays about $60,000. So, I mean, at that, I can imagine that she pretty much probably had a stack of resumes on her desk. And she chooses Stephanie. I mean, she chooses, like, to me, the only reason why you would choose Bishop Bobby Hilton is if some shit is going on and you need somebody to come down there and deal with it. I'm just being honest. Put it out there. That's what I read it. Something's going on. Because for a position like that, working with the first, I feel kind of torn on it. And I don't know Stephanie Dumas Summerall, so I can't speak to it. But just, that's an opportunity right there for somebody, working with the first black female ever elected as a Hamilton County commissioner in the whole state. That's a huge position. Bishop Bobby Hilton don't need that job. He don't need that job. So obviously, I'm sure Stephanie Dumas knows this. So obviously there were some other concerns that were going on. Obviously. Just please read that for me. Tell me what you think. Shout out to CEO Taylor this morning. Shout out to Jesse this morning. Shout out to Glenn. Appreciate you. Omar. Also, when it comes to city council, and this is the idea that comes from the office of P.G. Sittenfeld, and it was passed this week. I don't know who voted against it. It wasn't a full council. I think it was like 7-1 or 6-1. But in Cincinnati, renters don't necessarily need a cash security deposit anymore under a brand new law passed by Cincinnati City Council on Wednesday. It takes effect in 90 days. And it'll help alleviate barriers to renting an apartment. And the law says that landlords must give renters options other than traditional cash security deposit. And this is getting national press. I've seen these kind of articles from national, non-locally based news sources. They're saying that this is what city council should be doing. Coming up with shit that nobody ever came up before. They're saying, and by there I'm saying the multitude of comments, headlines that I've been reading, people are saying that this idea could sweep across the nation and become a new benchmark. Disrupting the cash down payment system. I'll post a link for you. You can check it out for yourself. Think about this. So under the legislation, after a renter requests an option besides the standard cash security deposit, now think about this. They're not saying you can't put down cash. You just now have options. And in a city where people feel like they can't move because they can't afford to get into other parts, it's not just the rent, it's the damn deposit. You got to put down a deposit that is usually equal to the first month's rent. Then you got to pay for the application fee and you got to pay for the security deposit. In today's cash crunched world, a lot of working families are just counting it up. This could alleviate the anxiety of not being able to get out of, or get into a neighborhood. Even the mayor says, quote, one of the most creative and innovative ideas to come through council that he has seen. That sounds dope. Rental security insurance, where tenants can be paying as little as $3 a month. Instead of paying the first month's rent and a security deposit up front, they pay $5 a month in insurance premiums for the duration of the rental. You don't get the money back, but the idea is making getting a rental a possibility. You also have an installment plan, so you have a multitude of options. See, people like options. People like options. Council passed the law 6-1, but Councilman Jeff Pastor, Republican, voted no. What in the hell? See, I'll have to get into the council to get a chance to pull this up to see what his thoughts are, but I'm trying to struggle as to what I don't get it. Vice Mayor Christopher Smitherman and Councilwoman Tamaya Denard were excused. The measure comes on the heels on comprehensive legislation put forward by Councilman Greg Landsman. And Greg Landsman's idea was aimed at preventing evictions. Remember that? Think that it created a registry for landlords. A lot of landlords and property renters were very upset with Greg Landsman when this hit the news and council started talking about it last year. But the idea is, and again, to me, is I remember a lot of people in the community saying these are issues that need to be addressed. And now you have at least council persons coming up with ideas that is near to what people said need to be addressed. I'm just saying. What do you think? What do you think? You know, one of the ideas going back to Greg Landsman's is that it was going to cap late fees. Remember that? It was all about preventing evictions because there's too many people being evicted here in the city of Cincinnati. So back-to-back ideas that are designed, to address these issues. As you understand it, from what point you understand it, what do you think? What do you think? Shout out to you, Jesse. Appreciate it. Appreciate you. Ashley writes, good morning, Nathan and Choppers. Happy Friday. Absolutely. You know what? I came across, because Facebook is so good to do this. And it really just goes to show you how much information Facebook has about all of us. Because today I saw for the first time one of those little Facebook memory things. You know what I'm saying? Where like something happened many years ago on this particular day or this particular time frame. And you put up a picture of something. Because, people put like all kind of stuff. Well, 5 years ago this week, I posted a photograph about the birth of my son. 5 years ago this week. I mean, my wife and I have been looking at ourselves. My daughter and I have all been looking at ourselves. The whole family is like, it's been 5 years. It's been 5 years. And all I can say is that he is developing very nicely. And of course, he lives with me. Of course, he's going to develop nicely. Of course. Just like little Buddha, who is competing over at Walnut Hills. I told her, you're in a competition, girl. Go. She's competing very well. And she has developed very nicely due to our influence, my wife and myself. But man, I'm just emotional. I might become overwhelmed and weep right here, right now. I remember the birth of my son was so emotional. I never thought I would have a son. Junior was a blessing. I won't say it was a big surprise. I mean, but, I just never thought. And when I saw his little face, oh my God, it was just so instant. And again, how could you, as a man, I mean, how could you ever look at your son and not be, or your child, and just be instantly connected? I think these things develop. I haven't always had a pro-kid attitude. You remember when the wife and I got together, I was like, no kids. But you know how life happens. I dropped them off this morning, and we had a great time. We have wonderful conversations in the car. We have wonderful conversations. Sometimes you ever be in the car with your child and they say something to you, you just got to look back like, what the hell? I didn't know this person was so aware. So that was a happy moment. I reposted it actually just because it was such a feel-good moment for me. I wanted to relive it on my Facebook page over and over again all day long. So if you're interested, it's there. I think many of you might have remembered. I mean, some of you folks been rocking with me that long. What's wrong with you? Are you still rocking with this nigga over here? But we've been rocking for a minute. 5 years ago, it just seems like it was just yesterday. Beautiful moments. Beautiful moments. But let me throw my number out to the ether and see what happens. It ain't always a good thing. 513, you never know. 513-873-7134. I was scheduled to speak with Kelly Prather, but I reached out to her and asked her if I could reschedule it for earlier in the week. Because quite honestly, I haven't really done my due diligence to be super, super sharp, for that conversation. Had a couple of things that went on this week and that really sort of took a little energy and some time. So we'll catch up with Kelly Prather early next week. I just want to I think it's a very serious conversation. I like to be on point. At least to my knowledge of being on point. So if you were expecting that, I want to give you a heads up. Hopefully we'll catch up with her very, very soon. And I want to talk to Kelly first before we talk to any of the other Hamilton County Commission candidates. Because I said the interview and she said yes first. So I want to stick to that. Let's see here. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for listening. Appreciate you being here. Good morning, everybody. How are you? Lakeisha, how you doing this morning? How you doing, everybody? It's good to see you. David, Mark, everybody. Daryl, how you doing, man? What's up, Lee? What's up, Maddie? How you doing? Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Now, that's what I have in mind to talk about, at least for the first hour or so, and see if we can have a conversation. I want to know where your head's at on those particular issues. Again, if you live in the greater Cincinnati area. But, of course, we talk about everything, and it's a Friday. And I think naturally for this show, there's a little bit of a weekend review element, like not too heavy, because I like to deal with current events. So there have been some things outside of the greater Cincinnati area this week that I think are worthy of just another look at. And then, of course, some developments within the last 24 hours as well. Okay, so I want to set the table right for you, right, so we can have a proper conversation about what's going on. If there are things that you think are worthy of a conversation, drop a link. Drop a link, man. It happens all the time. I'm good on my feet. Speaking of which, Ayanna Presley, if you go to Nathan Ivey Facebook page, the Nathan Ivey Show, the official Facebook page for the show, I posted early this morning that within the last 24 hours, U.S. Representative Ayanna Presley has revealed, she's revealed something she's been struggling with. Apparently, Ayanna Presley has been dealing with alopecia. And she's really bald. She's been rocking wigs for years. And she said, enough is enough. I want to live my true life. And she revealed in a video, and if you haven't seen it, there's a link on my Facebook page. But, of course, I'm going to drop a link for you here in just a second. But there's a link on her Facebook. There's a link that in which she, she sits down, I think, with the Root or the Griot, one of those folks. I just posted a link for you. Check it out for yourself. And she took off her wig. And I don't see her any differently, quite honestly. I'm not a big hair person. That shit don't really mean nothing to me. You know what I'm saying? Hair, no hair. I know in our culture, having hair, especially for a woman, is like a big deal. I know people go crazy trying to keep their follicles, and you should do whatever makes you feel good. But me personally, I got my preferences, but my preferences is healthy. That's my preference, healthy. You know what I'm saying? If bald is your healthiest self, there's nothing sexier than that to me. You know what I'm saying? Can I get an amen on that? All these little arbitrary things about hair and these little surface-oriented things, maybe it's my age or it's not that because I felt this way in my 20s. But I don't see any difference. But apparently for her as a black female, it was very, very profound. You should check out the video. It was very short, but, she talks through the process of how she's been dealing with it. And she says enough is enough, you know what I'm saying? Which I think is a big moment. Because, see, I think part of being mature is accepting yourself. Like, this is what it is, homie. Like it or not. Nothing to be embarrassed about. You know what I'm saying? You know anybody in your life who ain't embarrassed about nothing? Though that's the way we should all be. Embarrassed for what? Embarrassed for what? And Barbara Flo writes, what does her hair have to do with legislation? Nothing directly. Nothing directly, but I don't think that's really the point. I think that she will now, and has always been, because she was rocking the braids, and you had little black girls rocking T-shirts that read, my congresswoman rocks braids because of the way that the dominant culture looks at braids and all this kind of stuff. And now she's saying, I don't even got braids. Really, I'm bald. So it's, again, just being who she is. I think it's so many fake-ass people out there trying to keep up appearances for other people that when we see examples of people that just say, F it, this is who I am, I think that on some levels that can be just a great example. It's just so much fakeness in the world. It is. I mean, fakeness and fuckery is at an all-time high. It is. So, to see, somebody being their authentic self and not really caring about what society says or anybody says, I think that's big. I think that's how I take it. I think it's big. That's what I think. But I want to put that on your radar screen, if that may or may not be on your radar screen. It's something that people be talking about, and it is interesting. Interesting. But as I was watching, I'll be honest with you, I was like, okay, she's bald. Okay, and? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I mean, okay. Now, is she going to be going bald 100% now, or is she going to just still rock the wigs because she likes to rock a wig? There are ladies that have short hairstyles that'll wear a wig, or because during cold, weather times, because they want to, it's just like, it's kind of like wearing a hat, only it's a wig. I've heard that before. You know what I'm saying? Okay, great, do you? To me, it doesn't really matter. Back to what Broadway's point is, but a little bit different, but just to use as a springboard. To me, I'm more concerned about the substance of the legislation than I am, the consistency of her hair follicles. I don't have no problem. Could I date a woman that was bald? Yes, I could. I could date a woman that was bald. I mean, all the chicks not the chicks, but the Dora Milaje, right? The protectors of Black Panther, King of Wakanda were all bald. So, I mean, the hair don't really matter that much to me. As long as she love her, it'll be all cool. Give me a woman that's bald that loves herself in a healthy way over a woman with the most incredible set of hair who don't think she's attractive and don't really love herself. Any day of the week and twice on Sunday. But what do you think? 513-873-7134 if you'd like to share your thoughts on a beautiful Friday. Yeah, it's beautiful. They're saying we're getting a wintry mix later tonight and over the weekend. If you live in the Cincinnati area, you're thinking about going down to the Women's March. And again, number one, the women have the best political signs. And now I know why. Because they get together beforehand and come up with it and spend time on it. Men, give me a cardboard box and some crayons. You know what I'm saying? Well, let me think. Son, they'll write any shit on there. But women take their time and do things that actually mean something. So if you're planning on going out this weekend, just be careful. They're saying it's going to be a wintry mix. On a lighter note, and I know I'm just throwing a lot of things out there. It's a Friday. Everyone's been talking about Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is in Athens. He grew up in Ohio. Why am I talking about him? He's a white male. He was the former starting quarterback for the LSU Tigers. They just won a national championship. I think they had a perfect season. And in the national championship game, he had 6 TDs. Former Heisman and now national champion. He's projected to go number 1 in the NFL draft. Now, what team do you think has potentially that number 1 draft pick? The Cincinnati Bengals. I say potentially because it'll be their option to trade it away. So Joe Burrow, the number 1 it guy, and he's like a rich man's Andy Dalton to me so far, could be coming to Cincinnati, and he's from the Ohio area. Well, in the last couple of days, somebody, he said some things about Skyline Chili. It's just amazing how people feel like they have to protect Skyline Chili. I don't get it. Like, if he don't like it, so what? I don't get it. It's the big news. Oh, he said he don't like Skyline Chili. Okay, he may not like cheeseburgers. He may not like French fries. He may not like mustard. And, you know what I'm saying? I don't get it. But we can talk about it if that's on your radar screen. If not, I'm okay with that too. I'm okay with that too. As I said, Ashley writes, good morning, Nathan and the Choppers. Happy Friday, she writes. Hey, good to see you, Ashley. Thank you for being here. Shout out to Baby Chopper. Broadway Flo writes, Flo is here. Live from the Sandbox. This just in. Big money in Vegas got Trump winning 87% of Goldman Sachs customers and 4 out of 5 odds. The slaves can save the corny comebacks and the weak insults because they're tired. Your thoughts should be on why, with all this ish happening, the Democrats can't get any traction. I'll tell y'all to follow the money. Name a time big money took an L. Anyway, good morning. Hashtag alt-middle Ayatollah stand up. Okay. Kelly writes, good morning. Mason Muller writes, morning, Nate and the Choppers. Let Lev speak. Let Lev Parnas lit. Hashtag got that TSA tingle. Lev Parnas. He was on last night with on CNN. I did get a chance to watch quite a bit of the clips, maybe the entirety of his interview. And basically, he's dropping bombs over Baghdad, man. It was quite interesting. I mean, basically, he said that one of the most revealing things that he said, and I thought this was quite odd, was that, you know, he had essentially what his wife calls a shrine to Donald Trump in his home. His home was raided. You know what I'm saying? Law enforcement comes in, and he's got a shrine to Donald Trump in his home. Is that the shit you got to do to work for the president? I got to create a shrine? Like, yo. I work for you. You're the president, yo. I get it. But a shrine, I see that as like in his home office somewhere, he's got like a whole wall dedicated to just pictures of Donald Trump and news about Donald Trump. I mean, I get it. You work for Donald Trump. You should be invested in the health of the administration. I get it. But that's a little creepy. I know his wife was like, what in the hell? My wife would look at me like, are you okay? Why are you putting this in my house? This what we doing out here now? I don't know. That was creepy. But yeah, he's been dropping bombs about the. I mean, essentially, I'll say it again. Les Parnas is the link between Donald Trump and the truth. That's what he is. He can pull it all together. Him and former Ambassador Bolton, who is the strangest looking man I've seen in a long time. And it's real simple. Donald Trump does what Donald Trump wants. He don't care about no damn laws. When was the last time the head of a crime family cared about the laws? If you're the head of a crime family, you're not sitting around like, you know what? That'll be illegal. You don't care about that. Kelly writes, good morning. Crystal writes, good morning. Ray writes, grand risings all. Pamela writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers. From Facebook jail. You was on Facebook? What the hell? Who put you in Facebook jail for what, Pamela? You do be going wild. You be going, not wild, you be going hard, which I like. Other people have said Pam be going hard to me. I'm like, yeah, she do. Continue that posture. Mason Muller writes, don't let sellout black conservatives fool you. Trump's overall approval rating among black Americans stand at 7%, with 90% disapproving, including 75% who disapprove strongly. Trust but verify. Hey, I see Brother Cam's in the house. Good to see you, Brother Cam. I'm hoping to connect with you. Good to see you, man. Eb G's in the house. She writes, good morning, good people. Hey, listen, guys, before we get too far, I got some bad news real quick, man. So, we've been doing the Cutting Through the BS podcast, right? Hosted by Clue Magic and also Fast Pitch, a.k.a. Marla. And I got a text, within the last 24 hours saying that, she lost somebody very close to her, an uncle in her family. So I wanted to put that out there and just put up some positive vibes and thoughts and prayers for her and her family. So what does that mean? That means that coming up on Wednesday, we won't be doing a Cutting Through the BS podcast on Wednesday because she's got more important things to be dealing with. So just thoughts and prayers to Fast Pitch and her family. And I say it all the time. I mean, death is a part of life, but it doesn't make it easy to deal with. Don't make it easy to deal with. So I want to make sure I put that out there. Absolutely. Pat writes, good morning. Mason Marler writes, morning, Pam. Brenda writes, happy Friday. Black Russia writes, good morning. Dumas will be a one-term commissioner. Well, the news that Bishop Bobby Hilton is going to replace her previous chief of staff, Dr. Paul Sohi, I read that it's going to be problems. I read that as problems. I don't know what's going on. Maybe you got some information. By you, I'm not talking about you in particular, Black Russia, but anybody in the audience that you might feel comfortable to share. But I'm going to reach out. I'm going to reach out and see if we can't get a word as to what's really going on. And I mean, there's a lot of people that would have loved to work for Stephanie Summerall Dumas, I'm sure. To be the chief of staff for the first African-American female in Ohio commissioner. And yet the job goes to Bishop Bobby Hilton, who don't need the bread, I'm sure. He don't need the position. I'm sure she had a stack of resumes of people who are probably more qualified. And when I say that, I just mean in the sense that they wanted to work in that world. Or perhaps, again, I don't know Bishop Bobby Hilton like that. We are friendly. When I see him, we do speak. We did have a very icy relationship because I felt like, he and his wife disrespected me. And I don't really do well with disrespect. But, that was a long time ago. I've told you the story about who put Jizzy on the Crizzy. Some of you might have heard that flow. And I've told you the backstory and the whole 9 yards. So I don't really need to reiterate it. I love telling the story because it's a very interesting and funny story. It really is. That's how I met Bishop Bobby Hilton. I met Bishop Bobby Hilton because he was upset about something I said about who put Jizzy on the Crizzy. And I was referencing like Jesus Christ being on the cross. And if you're that sensitive as a religious person that you can't, Jizzy on the Crizzy makes you all mad, then I don't know what your problem is. I don't get it. To this day, I remember telling Jerry, she was like, Nate, just don't say it. Jerry, what's the problem? I don't get it. I don't see what the problem is intellectually. But that was a long time ago. That predates a whole lot of shit. I think that was before he was Nan or whatever. That was way. That was before he was even on the buzz. You know what I'm saying? That's how he came to even be known by the entity known as the Buzz. You know what I'm saying? But since then, his image in the community is, I think from what I hear, very positive. And he's standing up for Tracy Hunter, standing up for, various members of the community when they're dealing with issues is what I've seen. And I've given him props for that. But that seems to me a very interesting hire. You know what I'm saying? That's a very interesting hire right there. And to me, I read that as if there is some ish going on. Something's going on behind the scenes at the Hamilton County Commissioners. Something's going on between Stephanie Dumas and the other Hamilton County Commissioners. There's no doubt about it. Because Paul Sohi left. So if he was the problem, or if he only had the problem, then what's the need to bring in a man like Bishop Bobby Hilton? What's the need for that? You know what I'm saying? I don't get it. I don't get it. Here's a quote from Stephanie Dumas. She writes, "This person is an entrepreneur, a community advocate, very articulate, and has served on the Hamilton County Board and commissions and is working toward the same vision that our team has been moving Hamilton County forward."
This is the Perscola's Minute.
Yeah. And he also, quote, "he is also a voice for the voiceless." That's what she says. That's her rationale. What does that mean? That sounds good, but to me, come on, nobody who knows anything about these, Bishop Bobby Hilton, and is going to look at this and say, "Oh, that's just a normal hire." That is not a normal hire. That's not like, "Hey, I just got, a resume from somebody who was the former Hamilton County Commissioner's, chief of staff, or maybe they were chief of staff somewhere else, or maybe they just want to aspire to work in that world." Let's see. I'm looking for something right now. Hold on one second. Once it did. Dang. See here. Hilton, also a member of the Tax Levy Review Committee, which recommends tax rates to the county commissioners. Is that right? We're getting a call. We're getting a call here. Let's take it. Let's take this call and see who is on the line here. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, comrade.
Hey, how you doing? Black Russia.
I'm doing great. Happy birthday to you.
Same to you, man. You're kind of breaking up just a little bit. Let me pot you up. Make sure people can hear you. You still there?
Yeah, I'm here. Am I sounding okay?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, unless somebody says something, I believe so. Yeah. What's on your mind, man? What do you think?
Okay. I just want to agree with you that hiring Bishop Bobby Hilton is not a normal hire. It's not. I'm not really sure what Stephanie Dumas was thinking when she hired Bishop Bobby Hilton, but we can agree. I mean, put all speculation to the side. We can agree that's not normal.
Correct. Yeah, I don't think it's a normal hire.
So I'm not really sure what she was going for here. I mean, this is her pastor. You ask your pastor to be your chief of staff down in one of the highest profile jobs in the county, well, in the state actually, because you were the third biggest probably county in the state, and it just seems to me like this is strange.
Very strange.
And I'm not sure why she would do something like this. But you said something, that might be relevant. That it might be some stuff going on down there that we just don't know about.
Right. That's what I'm reading it as. Something's going on. So
yeah, but here's the thing though. But you would think that everything would be kosher because it's all ladies. They're all Democrats. So, I mean, what could really be going on down there that will prompt her to hire Bishop Bobby Hilton? It's head scratching.
Well, that means that we can't operate under any assumptions. Like the assumption is because they're all Democrats, they all gonna get along. Where does that ever actually happen? And then the assumption is because they're all women, they all gonna get along. Where does that always happen? I mean, you got all women in like some of these sororities. They all AKAs. They don't all get along. You know what I'm saying? So I think part of that is, we gotta get away from some of our assumptions. Maybe we assume too much. They're just people.
Well, yeah, I hear you there. But I mean, her chief of staff, her previous chief of staff, Dr. Soli, was having problems with the other commissioners, right? Like supposedly. That was the rumblings down there. That he couldn't get along, that he thought it was racism going on down there with these commissioners. So doesn't this hire kind of indicate that Stephanie Dumas may think the same thing?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's it. The hire tells me that whatever was going on with Paul Sohi did not end with his resignation. That's what it tells me.
Right. And so it's strange that this hire is just strange. It's like she didn't come out and defend Sohi when he said any of this stuff, but the hire kind of says what he was indicating.
Well, maybe the hire is to elicit exactly what's happening now, for us to talk about it and kind of piece this together. Maybe this is Stephanie Dumas trying to send a signal that there's a problem without saying it.
Yeah, I mean, you might be right about that, and it's it's a coded hire, no question about it. there's a message being sent. I'm still trying to decode it.
Right. There's a message being sent, and it's up to decode it. I think we're doing a good job right now. I mean, what else could it be? You had these alleged racism, or not racism, but alleged racial friction. And Paul Sohi leaves. And then what? A few weeks later, month later, Bishop Bobby Hilton? What? You couldn't get Al Sharpton? You couldn't get Al Sharpton? He wasn't available to be your chief of staff?
Man, right. You might as well got called up Jesse Jackson in Chicago and brought him in.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be interesting. So now I want to see, is his involvement going to make it better or worse?
You know what? I want to go out here on a limb and say it's going to make it worse.
I'm not too far from you on that limb.
I think this, it's one of those hires you just scratch your head like, why? Like, why would you do that? He ain't never been nobody's chief of staff. And I'm not trying to diss him. I'm just like trying to analyze it. Like, he's never been the chief of staff. He's been more or less behind the scenes in politics. I mean, I know he supported AFTAB. He was, he's done some commercials before. He does NAN. He went hard in the paint for Tracy Hunter, and we saw how that went. It's like, I'm just politically, I don't see any wins he's racked up politically either. Like, on any issues. I mean, this is a guy who was charging people to come out there and watch Al Sharpton on Skype. Didn't that happen too? Like, he was trying to promote Al Sharpton coming to the church and talking, and all of a sudden it goes to Al Sharpton on Skype, taking people money.
I think that did happen.
I mean, this is just kind of like strange to be like. I don't know why there's so many Democrats out here, and I'm not a Democrat, but there's so many Democrats out here who are probably qualified for that job, who's been in the trenches of politics, who ran campaigns, who did all types of stuff. Because she got to run for re-election in a couple of years, too. So her best bet would have been to get somebody who probably knows how to run a campaign. Because make no mistake about it, the Republicans are mad she beat Chris Monzell, and they coming hard. So it just, she didn't, it's a strange hire. We'll see what happens with it, but I think it's issues going to get worse before it get better.
Well, I mean, maybe she feels like it can't get any worse, which is interesting.
If she's down there right now and she think it can't get any worse, then she's going to be a one-term commissioner, bro. I mean, it's if it's already bad, if it's this bad right now, that to the point where you have to call your pastor, I need you to come down here to the Water County Commission and help me. It's gonna be rough, bro. It's starting out rough for her.
Right.
Ain't no question about it.
I think there's something. A lot of what you're saying, I think, rings true.
So, I mean, we'll have to keep an eye on this one. I'm interested in whether Bobby Hill is going to keep his show and be able to separate what he's doing down at the commission from talk radio. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Like,
I doubt it. I doubt it very seriously. I mean, maybe he was hired because he has a show. You know what I'm saying? So he can go back on the air and on some levels, put messages out.
Yeah, I mean, he could do that, but I mean, it's one of those scenarios where let's just call it what it is. Denise Treehouse is running the show down there. She's the commission president, if I'm not mistaken, and she has a political name that puts fear in the hearts of Democrats. So a lot of people just line up because it's Denise Treehouse. If she's down there and Bobby Hilton's down there pissing off Denise Treehouse, in Victoria Parks, she's basically the pro-tune regime. So, I mean, yes, she's an African-American lady, but let's make no mistake, she's representing the interests of Todd Portune. So, if she was having issues with both of these, her staff was having issues with both of these, commissioners. It's just because Victoria Parks is there doesn't alleviate that. But, if she crosses Denise Treehouse, I can see somebody primarying her and trying to take her out. And then she gets to the general. The Republicans they're going to look at this first term like, man, she done went through Paul Sohi and Bishop Bobby Hilton as, chiefs of staff, with all these problems, it's this is not a good look.
And there's already going to be a backlash because, I don't know, the Hamilton County voters might say, you know what, we need at least one Republican down there or someone we see as a moderate and instead of having to break up all this Democrat control. You know what I'm saying? She already, because that was Monzel's seat she took, right?
Yeah. Big upset. Probably the biggest in political in county history. So, yeah, I mean, they're going to try to break that up, bro. I mean, it's just, this is a sideshow type of hire. You know, it's supposed to be some level of discreetness going on down there. Bishop Bobby Hilton is not a discreet dude.
Well, he seems to be connected. He seems to be connected, and he seems to be able to, you know, he has connections with the people. Maybe that's what she's looking for.
Yeah, but see, this ain't city council though. She in the county, so like connecting with the people. I get that he's connected with black people. He probably knows some white folks, but basically he's connected with the African American community because he got an African American church, and the county's only made up like 20-25% African Americans. I mean, the county's predominantly white. So people look at this hire as a dude from the National Action Network, aka Al Sharpton. I mean, it's just, it's just you got, you know. I think you got to be a little more savvy with your hires. This is not a savvy move. I mean, you bring it down there somebody who ain't never ran a political office in his life, who just is out here doing National Action Network stuff, who ain't got no wins politically. Who's going to probably have to run a campaign for her in 2022 for her reelection. Ain't never did that before. Just strange. It's just strange, man. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we will. Anything else?
I can't wait for football this weekend.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I almost forgot about that. Playoffs. Okay. Yeah, that will be fun.
Yeah. Conference championships.
I'll probably won't watch it live. I'll check out the YouTube highlights and kind of see what people... Yeah. What do you think about that Renters plan?
Let's go. I'm going Kansas City, Green Bay.
Okay. Kansas City, Green Bay. Yeah. I think, I love to see Kansas City 49ers. That's what I want to see.
You want to see the 49ers? Yeah. I mean, 49ers are really good. I think it's going to come down to quarterback play, though. Do you like Jimmy Garoppolo or do you like Aaron Rodgers?
In that game, I like Garoppolo.
Yeah. I mean, Garoppolo's performed better than expected.
Yeah, I like him. And then the Green Bay Packers only have one target, right? Was it Freeman? Devontae Freeman, is that his name?
Devontae Freeman, yeah.
They got one target, essentially. I think that 49er defense is going to clamp down on them. And then you only rushing 4 and dropping everybody else? I mean, come on, that's hard to beat.
But you know they got Jimmy Graham, though. The tight end.
True. But again, if the 49ers can get pressure by rushing 4 and dropping everybody else, and they already know that essentially Rodgers got 2 targets, and they're at home, I've got to go with the 49ers on that one. Yeah,
well, whoever wins this game is going to have to run the football. There's no question about that, too.
Most definitely. All right, man, thanks for the call.
Yeah, these games are going to be fun. All right, take it easy.
Yeah, take it easy. That's Black Russia checking in. The hell? Some interesting points he made about the hire of Bishop Bobby Hilton to be the next chief of staff for Stephanie and Dumas. Made some interesting points. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, we can say all of this, and then he might come down there and it's like, oh, it was exactly the touch that was needed. I don't know. I have to wait and see if I see that. I'm not sure about that. But the hire in and of itself says problems down here. That's what I see. Big old neon, bing, bing. It's as big as that Cincinnati sign or the Cincinnati lights. What building is that in downtown Cincinnati? Big as hell. There's a problem here. It's a problem. Oh, my gosh. What do you think? Again, 513-873-7134. I just had somebody on the line. Call back, and I'll put you on. I see Brian's in the house. He writes, good morning. And I'm reminded of our conversation we had with Nakia Grooms, who is a Black female entrepreneur. She was the owner of G&G's or Gigi's Bar and Grill, and it was shut down in St. Bernard. And we'll see what happens with that story. I'll keep my eyes on it. Brian, I know there's a familia connection there. I'm not sure what it is, but perhaps you can help keep us, just let us know what's going on. And in any way we can support her. That was an interesting conversation we had, though. Very interesting. And I agree with everybody else. It's the landlord. You just going to shut the doors with no notification? Is that legal? Let's go to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Guy, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Welcome, Fame.
Yes, sir. If I can, I just want to piggyback on my brethren a little bit about the hiring of Robert Hilton. He said that the good bishop doesn't have any political wins. He doesn't have any social wins either. I'm not going to say what I said the last time I talked about him because I did notice that you kind of deleted it. But he doesn't have any social wins either.
I deleted what? Wait, I don't remember deleting anything.
Oh, you did.
What did I delete?
You did because it wasn't in the replay. I said everybody he stands by loses.
I didn't delete anything like that.
I mean, it might have just occurred in the transmission of the the file. It might not have been.
Yeah, it might have. Yeah,
I noticed it wasn't in there.
Why would I delete that?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he's a friend of yours. I don't know. But I just know that nobody he stood by socially, they lose too. Dumas, Hunter, the guy's just not, he's just not my cup of tea. Robert isn't.
Why do you call him Robert? Is that his first name?
Well, I'm sure Bobby's short for Robert. I told you, I'm not calling no 60-year-old man Bobby.
Okay.
He's not 13.
Okay. What about Billy?
William.
How about Davy?
That's why I call Glenn. That's why I call Glenn Glenford.
Oh, okay. Well, at least you got a code. That's good to hear.
You were talking about Joe Burrow.
Yeah, I think did I mangle his last name? Is it Burrow?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I was just pronouncing it the French way, Barrow. Because they're spelling it Berreaux. Just as a joke, because the French influence in Louisiana.
Right. I got that.
I don't think that the Bengals should draft him. I don't think because he's not a sure thing. What people don't realize, he gets his. I don't want to get all into the sports minutiae, but he gets his sideline checks and audible, changing plays. He gets that from the sideline. In the NFL, you have to be able to do that yourself because the play clock's quicker. And we don't know if he can do that, So, yes, I am intimating that a white quarterback might be too dumb to play the position. I think they should draft the Ohio State kid, Chase Young, the defensive lineman. He's more of a sure thing. And to call him a poor man's or a rich man's Andy Dalton is kind of a compliment that I don't think he deserves. I mean, Andy Dalton's not bad. He's just not good. He's the Manny Mendoza of football quarterbacks. He's just very, very average. And I don't think Joe Burrow is – I'm sorry?
I agree. You're right. Andy Dalton is very, very average.
Yeah, I just don't – I mean, he might – I hope he proves me wrong if we draft him, but I just don't see it. I really don't. I mean, he's not athletic enough. He's college athletic, but, in the NFL, he's going to get racked. He's going to get blasted. I just think I think he's fool's gold.
And
Carson Palmer, he was a sure thing when we drafted him number 1 overall. This kid is not Carson Palmer, even though he's won a Heisman like Carson. You were saying, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you.
Well, no, I think you make an excellent point. I never looked at Carson Palmer as a super lock, but I think you're into football more than I am, so I trust your expertise in this conversation. But I think you make an excellent point, like fool's gold. So it's not real gold, but somebody else might think it is. They might give us a boatload they might give us a great deal for this guy to take that number 1 pick.
Exactly.
And by us, I say very, very
um,
loosely, really the Cincinnati Bengals.
yes. And I, like you, I don't really have a problem. Initially, I did. I don't really have a problem with him saying he hates Skyline because it is an acquired taste. I mean, lots of people who are not from here don't like it. Like, this ain't chili. This is like meat sauce and cinnamon.
Right.
It really is an acquired taste for the provincial, inside of 275. Outside of 275, it's, the people are like, ugh, what is this? I mean, there was one guy, the guy from Sports Center, Scott Van Pelt, he like almost threw up on national TV eating it.
Well, and my thing is culturally, so many Cincinnatians feel the need to block for it, to protect it. Like, that is us, and that's not who we are. They've been very, very successful as branding themselves as the taste of Cincinnati, but they're not really the taste of Cincinnati.
No, they're not. I'd say La Rosa's is, but and not only that. See, I've been explaining on Twitter for the last since Monday, since the title game. Like, even though he's from Ohio, he's 3 hours away. So being that this is Cincinnati, being 3 hours away, you might as well be a day's drive away because we're so provincial here. There's no other city in the state of Ohio like Cincinnati. We're so much different than the rest of the state because of our heavy Southern influence. Cleveland and Columbus are almost East Coast cities. They got kind of an East Coast vibe to them, especially Cleveland. And Dayton's just kind of sitting there, between, Columbus and Cincinnati. They respect Columbus as the state capital, but they're kind of influenced by us, but kind of try to get away from it. We're just such a unique. I mean, I'm not just saying that because I'm a native, but we're just such a unique part of this state that we might as well be our own state. So him being from 3 hours away in Athens, which is an hour from Columbus, he's not. I'm trying to explain to them, like, he's not local, and some of them ain't getting it. You know what I mean? So I don't know if I'm explaining it right or not.
No, I get you. I mean, that's a long way from. There's probably people that's from his town who've never been to Cincinnati, and that's not a stretch. So I get it.
Right. Exactly. Speaking of LSU, did you see the video of Odell Beckham Jr. slapping the cop on the ass?
I did see the video.
And now now he's got a warrant. Initially, the warrant was sexual battery, and then the judge rejected it and reduced it to simple battery. What they say is relatively a light misdemeanor in Louisiana, but we're talking about the South, so the term relatively is very relative. You know what I mean?
Listen, I don't think that Odell, I wouldn't have done it just off the GP.
Right.
But the second thing is, it's the national championship, and you're in a football locker room. That's what they do. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
that's what they do.
It ain't beyond. He
shouldn't have slapped the cop on the ass.
He shouldn't have slapped him on the ass, but it ain't the worst thing in the world.
No, it's not. It's not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, the cop should have checked him physically and just deal with it like that, and just check his ass, and it's over with.
Well, if you look at the video, it appears that the cop did kind of chuckle when he turned around. Like, dude, stop playing.
Probably out of embarrassment. Sometimes people do that in difficult situations.
Yeah, see, my thing is, Odell, you play in Cleveland. Cops killed a sixth grader up there. That was kind of a tone-deaf moment of frolicking by you with him. And, it's kind of like Biggie said on the 10 Crack Commandments. Number 9 should have been number 1 to me. If you ain't getting back, stay the fuck from police. You know what I mean? Leave them people alone. You had you're finna get an arrest on your record for nothing. There was no reason to touch that guy, even out of excitement. Nothing.
Right.
Really, you shouldn't have been in there. Even though you're an alum, you shouldn't have even been in there. Let them kids have their moment.
Passing out cash.
Because you done got some of them in trouble. Exactly. You done got some of them in trouble passing out cash. And now those kids that gave up their amateurism and are going to have to be forced to go to the NFL, whether they're ready or not, or go do something else.
Is that what they're saying about that? Wow.
Yeah, that he violated an NCAA rule. It was clear. They were trying to say the money was fake, and then guess who told them it wasn't? Joe Burrow.
Is that right?
No, that money wasn't fake. Yeah, and that kind of reminds me of that baseball scandal, but I ain't gonna get into that.
Thanks, Joe.
Because that's real heavy. Yeah, exactly.
You talking about the
he's kind of a
Astros?
tattletale. Yeah. That thing is. I mean, they're wearing buzzers at the plate. That's weird. You know what I mean? Like the BW3 buzzers when they let you know your wings ready. That thing's buzzing on their chest. Let them know. Here comes a fastball, or if it buzzes twice, it comes an off-speed pitch. That story's crazy. And lastly, just to piggyback again off my brethren, he was talking about the championship games. Here are your wagering investing interest. Okay, the first game, Kansas City and Tennessee. Kansas City might win, but take Tennessee plus 7.5. Right? Well, it was 7.5. It went down to 7. Tennessee's going to cover. They might win. They might win the game outright, but just take Tennessee. That means they can't lose by more than 7 if they lose. And then the other one, San Francisco and that game's going to go over 46 points. I think it's 46.5. It's going to go over that. They're going to score well into the 50s, 60s. And you'll make a nice little bag for you for the weekend, for your 3-day weekend. Sit back on Martin Luther King Day.
Okay. Frank, let me ask you a question when it comes to sports betting. Sports investing,
Yes,
what the term is. But are there a lot of different scenarios that you can bet on? It's not just the winning and the losing. It's the point spread.
Oh, yeah.
It's the overall amount of points. It's a lot of different things, right?
There's like you can invest in because gambling is a dirty word, and if I'm successful 65% of the time, it's not a gamble, it's an investment. Okay, so that's why I say investing. Like right now, the Green Bay games, the last time I checked, there were like 220 different options. You could bet like how many touchdowns were what's his name, Aaron Rodgers, or the other quarterback, Jimmy G throw, who will throw the most, who will throw the most yards, who will have the most rushing yards, will Devontae Parker have over 90 yards receiving or less, who scored the first touchdown, how many field goals. I mean, there's a myriad of different investments you can make.
Right. Okay. Anything else, brother?
Yeah, in every game. No, that's all I got, B. I will holler at you at a moon next week. Ow!
Okay. It's a nice throaty howl there. Appreciate it. We'll go ahead and rack them. Good calls. Appreciate it. Thank you for being here. Again, you could be anywhere in the World Wide Web at this point. Things done changed. I just look at just how things have changed just in the last 5 years. A few hours ago before the show, I reposted something I posted 5 years ago. It was the birth picture essentially of my son. He was born 5 years ago this week. His birthday was yesterday, and he's 5 today. His birthday is every day. Now, moving forward, he does not want to let this birthday feeling go. But what's interesting is just how much media has changed in the last 5 years. There's been just remarkable changes and advancements in the digital media culture. Morning, Pam, that's Mason Mahler. Brenda writes, Happy Friday. Black Russia writes, Dumas will be a one-term commissioner. That wouldn't be good. Or would it be good? Hello, Nathan and Choppers, who are confident in themselves and are self-reliant in the manner that W.E.B. Du Bois talked about is quite fitting. The alt-middle Ayatollahs quote W.E.B. Du Bois because we, quote-unquote, be them boys, end quote. Alt-middle is for the children. You are immersed. Well, that's good to know. I feel better now. I feel better now. Cassandra writes, good morning, Choppers. Mike Davis writes, rise and shine, stars, young stars. Beethoven writes, LOL, you look like Dudley from Different Strokes as a young man. Does that mean? Okay. Sharp writes, TGIF Friday in the Choppers. Mason Marler writes, who's a prominent Asian American political figure in Cincinnati asking for a voting black friend? Well, I just came across an article. It was on WVXU's website. I'll share the link with you if you're interested. I know you are. And there is Cincinnati's growing Asian community wants politicians' attention. Yeah, Pew Research shows that the Asian American population is the fastest growing racial group in the United States. And they suggest that they will surpass the Latinx, that's right, say it right now, Latinx community, and become the nation's largest immigrant group by 2015. Coincidentally, we're always talking about how other cultures don't have to deal with the kind of things we deal with. That's not true. Within the Latino culture, they're dealing with how they're going to brand themselves. Latino, Latina, or Latinx. And Latinx, it includes like gender, ethnicity, and sexual orientation. Every culture is dealing with it. So by 2055, will we live to be 2055? That's 35 years from now. If you add 35 years to your current age, how old are you? How likely are you to be alive in 35 years? Think about how small a time that is. You don't get a lot of time here. You don't get a lot of time. Apparently, WVXU reached out to the Hamilton County Republican Party chairman, Alex Triantafilou, and apparently he didn't have much to add about how the party attracts Asian American voters. And that's because they ain't doing shit. The Hamilton County Republican Party ain't doing a goddamn thing to attract anybody who, other than who they already been attracting. You know what I'm saying? I'm sitting in a room right now. I record a podcast with myself, PG Sinfu, Alex Triantafilou. And it was a podcast that we did as we were just getting ready to release the Hot Mic podcast, which we'll be back in recording very soon. And I asked Alex, I'm like, what are you doing to attract African-American votes? Why aren't you doing more to serve those interests? And he didn't have shit to say. He said, oh, look at Jeff Pastor. That's what he said. Jeff Pastor. I'm like, Jeff Pastor? The hell? That's not a movement? That's not what you're doing? But it looks like they got the same thing with the Asian American population. By 2055, 35 years from now, researchers say that the Asian American population will surpass the Latinx population. Speaking of that, I remember when we talked with Jason Dunn. Jason Dunn, black male, VP down to the Cincinnati Visitors Bureau. He's the brainchild behind the Vibe and all of the millions of dollars that pour into the city during that weekend. He has a major role to play in all of that. And the last time we spoke on the air, remember what he said? This was last year. Remember what he said? He said that in terms of tourism, there are two demographics that are like the big demographic right now. He said black females and Asian males, Asian American males. Something to consider, something to think about. Something to think about, the future. I'll keep my eyes on that. That's interesting. Could be something that we can glean for ourselves. Never know. You never know. Let's see. Mike Davis says, small minds talk about people. Average minds talk about events. Great minds talk about ideas. Which are you? Interesting. Interesting. I don't know. I know where I think I am. But that's a self-assessment. Okay, let me look in here. I am on Bishop Bobby Hilton's Facebook page right now. I want to look at some of the comments and see. We are talking about this right now. Hold on. I'm going to post this on his page. See, it's interesting. See, Bishop couldn't have chosen a better candidate. Let's see. Somebody writes, congratulations, Bishop. I'm so happy for you and so proud of your many accomplishments. That's right. And because Bishop Bobby Hilton is a man of many talents. He is a man of many talents, including this.
in need of a breakthrough. Running out of time and I didn't know what to do.
And he can sing. And he can sing. I see. So he's bringing a lot to the table. God did that thing.
God did that thing.
God did that thing.
Oh, we came through to do the same. God did it.
God did that thing. So as you can see, he's a man of many talents. If all else fails, he'll grab the mic and rock it.
And now I can say the Lord made a way. God did it. God did that thing. God.
Mason Marler writes, God did that thing. For you ask yourself, who made the decision? God made that decision. God did that thing. Roll with it. Kush writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers. Clue Magic writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers. Good to see you, Clue. I missed you guys, actually. I was looking forward to it on Wednesday. Jesse writes, so he's talking to Fame. Cam writes, Dumas will now be top elected lady at Bishop Bobby's church and sit with the pastors as well. Guess she is better than the black woman selling fish plates. Shaking my head. Black Russia writes, Dumas made a bad hire. I can think of a bunch of Democrats that could get that job. She goes to her pastor's office and asks him, these are Tracy Hunter moves. Don't say that, man. Don't say Tracy Hunter moves. Hashtag alt middle, he writes. Karamia writes, rise and shine. Good morning to you, Karamia. Fishplate didn't have an argument that resonated with the voters. Who is Fishplate? Mason Marler writes, and Jeff Pastor voted against. What a clown. I guess he will be making more nondescript fat hat campaign posters now. Yeah, Jeff Pastor was the only member present of city council that voted against PG Sittenfield's idea about giving renters more options to pay for the security deposit. And I'm just curious as to why. Sure he has his reasons. And we're rocking to gospel tunes. Let me see. Mason Muller writes, didn't Jeff Pastor grow up in the West End? ? He grew up in rental properties. I guess he forgot where he came from. Oh, boy. Black Russia writes, great job, Jeff. Really, why was it a great job to vote against it when the other 6 members voted for it? Why was that a good idea? I don't know. If you don't know, the song I was playing for you is Bishop Bobby Hilton's signature gospel song called God Did That Thing. It came out like many years ago. So he's multi-talented. I'm on his Facebook page. He posted 11 hours ago, thy kingdom come, thy will be done. I used to say that when I was a kid before I went to school at night. Mama told me to do my prayers at night, and that was, thy kingdom come. I remember that part. And now I'm just an adult heathen. Yeah, they love it. They love it. Oh, the church goes crazy for Bobby Hilton's song. They love it. God did that thing. Who can do the best rendition of this song? Bishop, you are definitely prepared to be a voice to the Cyrus of the city. You are taking the mountain of politics. May God bless and cover you as you move in this new position. Much love. So he's got a lot of support. He's got a lot of support. First time I met Bishop Bobby Hilton, he was, it's so ironic how things turn out. He was threatening to sue the station that I worked at because I said, who put Jizzy on the Crizzy? I just want to let you know that. I'm just telling you. I don't give a fuck. I do my own thing. You know what I'm saying? And it left an impression. And for years after I saw Bishop Bobby Hilton after that, I used to give him the business and tease him about it. And it's hilarious. He's a good guy, though. He's a good sport. Just takes a while. Get to know people. Let me see here. Somebody writes, you avoided it long enough. Next step, mayor. Okay. Very interesting here. Very interesting. Hey, John, hold on a second, man. Hold on 1 second, John. Thank you for calling. John, hold on 1 second. Hey, John, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on 1 second, brother. Thank you so much. We got Brother John on hold. Respect the fact that he gives a damn about the show. We'll bring him on very quickly. God did that thing. That's all I know. Are there any other lyrics? That's the only ones I know. Oh, my God. I know I'm going to hell. I know you hate me. But I did say this was the last honest place in Cincinnati media, right? I did say that. So what else can I glean here before we go to the phones? Let's go to the choppers. Beethoven writes, okay, talking to him. Robbie writes, it sounds good, but there better be some strong corresponding legislation to give it more teeth and curb landlord abuse through credit requirement and rent inflation. Look at your man being optimistic. Let me see. Credit requirement and rent inflation. I don't think, from what I understand, I'm not the expert on this. I don't think the rent inflation, I mean, that's something separate. Credit requirement, let me double check on that. Black Russia writes, not at all, Warren County. Jeff understands hard work. His mom worked hard and bought a house. PG's law discourages home ownership. No. Does it? How so? How does it discourage home ownership? To me, it makes renting more affordable because now you have multiple options for down payments. Now, if I'm missing something, please set it up straight. But I don't see that. That's like when people say, oh, you know, when you tax the wealthy, that's going to discourage people from starting businesses. Nobody's going to be wealthy anymore if they got to give up, 12%, 15% of their money to the government. That's a damn lie. Being rich is always going to be in fad in America. It don't matter how much in taxes you got to pay. Oh, they're going to discourage business ownership because you got all these business taxes and estate taxes. Okay, so I'm not going to go for mine and try to make a lot of money because when I die, my kids are going to have to pay a tax. That makes sense to you. Not to me. I'm sorry. If you want to be a homeowner because you understand that could be the fundamentals of, working class wealth building, that doesn't change because as a renter, you now have more options to make renting a space more affordable. Maybe I'm missing something, but nah. Camille writes, Nathan, glad you enjoy your children. Oh yeah, what better thing is there? You know what I'm saying, than your family. At the end of the day. I mean, you got creature comforts and, all those kind of things, but at the end of the day, you're on your deathbed and you're looking back on your life. You're not going to look at, all this stuff I got in a big house. You're going to look at the relationships you've built and you're going to look at your family and you're going to look at the impact that you had in your community. I already know that. I don't have to be on my deathbed to know that. So for sure, who doesn't? And again, I never looked at myself as parent material. I'm far too an adult. You know what I'm saying? I always thought I would be a bad parent and still sometimes feel that way, but well, not so much. Second kid is kind of like, been here, done that. First kid is anxiety. You're super hyper and tense. Second kid, you're like, oh, you bust your head. Let me see. You're not bleeding. You okay? How many fingers you see? 2? Great, go play. First kid, you're like, oh my God, we're going to get charged. You can't take the doctor. They're not going to believe us. Second kid is like, take a number, kid. You living in our world. FG writes, now I want to cry 5 years. Is that wife? Is that right? Is that right? Oh, the wifey. Interesting. Very interesting. Mason Marler writes, PG's law encourages options. The end of hashtag no to the fat hat posters in the hood. CNN polling South Carolina black Dems, only 1 out of 6 plans to vote Biden. Yeah, Biden, his ship is sunk. He just a lot of things. I mean, I think if he had the charisma today, then the stuff he did in the 90s and some of the legislation he got behind and people could have got over it, but his charisma is on 0. And he's doubling down on dumb shit. And no. It ain't happening. I don't think so. I don't think it's going to be a slam dunk for Biden in any way, shape, or form at this point. It ain't looking good. He's like, is that the real Biden or is that like a 3D printout? Who is that? Ray writes, natural hair rocks. Absolutely. I'm very proud to say I convinced a wifey to go natural. I started reading more about it, reading these articles and stuff. I saw that Chris Rock, documentary / comedy documentary in which they was talking about hair. Man, she convinced my mother-in-law and her sister to go natural. My daughter, of course, is natural. Nah, we ain't doing nothing else. What does hair has to do with legislation? Nothing. Beethoven writes, Sherry Hughes is just as fine and brave during the 5 p.m. weather while bald as fights the big casino. Sherry Hughes has been doing the news bald? I didn't know that. I don't watch a lot of local television. Very, very rare. Unless there's a story that I'm looking for and it just takes me to it. But usually I'm online most of the time. Shout out to Sherry Hughes. She is a very beautiful woman. And I wish her the best in her struggles. I wish her the best. Hope she returns to 100% health. It wouldn't make a difference to me. I just, again, it's some things I just don't even see sometimes. Like, there's always been bald women around in the community just because they wanted to be bald, or I see women rocking these really, really short hairstyles looking incredible. That hair shit don't really matter. As long as you're healthy, that's the sexiest thing in the world. Answer writes, salutations, can I stay? Just posting a question and we'll listen to replay if Kelly is still coming on today. What is wrong with a career politician? There are several like Barack Obama, Maxine Waters, Elijah Cummings, Ted Kennedy, John Lewis. What do you aspire to be? Okay, I'll screenshot this and I will remember it. But Kelly will be on Wednesday. She'll be on Wednesday. We've been conversing this morning. And she'll be on Wednesday. I'll be honest with you, I pushed it back because I had some shit that happened this week, issues, and it just kind of took some energy and time that I thought that I'd be able to really sit down and put together what I thought were some useful questions. And quite honestly, I haven't had the time to do it. So I don't want to disrespect her time or yours or mine. And I just want to make sure that with this first interview with her that I do what I'm trying to do with that conversation. To me, that just takes more time. And so I just didn't have the time to. And she was gracious enough and nice enough to extend that time to Wednesday at 9 a.m. And we'll catch up with Miss Kelly Prather then. And I just screenshotted this and I'll capture it and keep it and come back to it. All right. Question. All right. Got it. Let's see. Mr. Mueller writes, Senator Bernie Sanders from Vermont is leading the field with the youngest group of black voters. More than 4 in 10, 42% of blacks, 18 to 34-year-olds are backing the lawmaker. But Biden earns about the same level of support among older millennials and voters from Generation X, I call it the hip-hop generation, ages 35 to 49, at about 41%. And Biden's support with the youngest group of black voters isn't insignificant. 30% of blacks, 18 to 34-year-olds, named Biden as their first choice, and an additional 19% in the youngest age group say Biden is their second choice. More broadly, 64% of black Democrats younger than 35 have a favorable view of Biden, while 19% are unfavorable. Thank you for that. Where's that from exactly? I can tell you probably cut and paste that, but where's that from? Thank you. Broadway writes, she needs to be talking about legislation. That is what she is paid for and known for. I would say, yeah, I get you. That's the number one thing. But at the same time, she a black female U.S. representative who's in the media quite a bit. I just feel like when you've got those kind of things, demographics, that it becomes, there's a lot of things. I mean, she wants to do legislation, sure, but she also wants to represent, be a role model, and speak her truth. And if she's been wearing wigs for years and years and years, feeling like she's like not outside, she's not her authentic self. And if you don't know why we're talking about it, Ayanna Pressley within the last 24 hours has revealed to the world that she's been struggling with alopecia. She is completely bald and she's been wearing wigs. So now she wants to be her true self, and I 100% support her in that. I 100% support her. Why not? Be you. All right, let me go straight to the phones here. We got John on the line. John, good morning, and thank you for holding.
Good morning, Mr. Nathan Ivey and the good people of Cincinnati, as well as the good people around the world, and yes, those choppers. Good morning, sir. How
Good
are you
morning.
today?
I'm doing great.
Before we get to the foolishness with the impeachment, Senator Dumas out of California, I call him the Benedict Arnold, and that snake and rat Rudolph Giuliani, Trump's personal lawyer. Before we get to the hearings, and I'd like to hear, let's go back and forth. I'd like to hear your comments about how you feel all of that's going to play out. But before we get to that, all right, choppers, put on your recordings. In the words of a great man, Malcolm X, oh, you've been had, black people. You've been hoodwinked, led astray, run amok, bamboozled. Yes, you black people have been given a check you can't cash. Yes, Malcolm X made those classic statements. And he was talking about back then how black people are like sheep led to slaughter. They'll buy and take anything and constantly sell themselves down the road. Okay, choppers, you wonder where am I going with all this? Okay, I will tell you. Let's look at these hearings, these so-called impeachment hearings coming down the pipeline Tuesday. And Nathan Ivey, you can chime in at any point. And you must agree with me that if you look at the Clinton impeachment hearing, if you go back in time, some of you choppers weren't around that time, you're in diapers. But if you look at the Clinton hearings, Clinton got impeached. Well, let's back up a second. Republicans controlled the House and the Senate back then. So they went after Clinton because Clinton did the nasty in the White House. Yes, he was a bad little boy. But that is not a reason to take the country to an impeachment. Clinton did nothing no more than what that crook in the White House, Trump, broke laws. A laundry list of stupidness that this guy was doing. So the problem that the Democrats had, they don't control the Senate. Yeah, they control the House. They can bring the paperwork in and call for an impeachment. But let's see how this plays out. But, backdoor hearings and backdoor conversation, and the public is not going to know what the Republicans and the Democrats are behind the scene cutting deals like they cut the deal with Clinton and allowing Clinton to get away with one vote. Are you kidding me? Well, he got away with it with one vote because deals were cut behind the closed doors that me and you choppers will never know about. So let's see how the deals are going to be cut with this Trump because, a lot of people want him to stay. Some people want him to go. But if Trump is allowed to stay there, there is no democracy. Do you agree with that, with what I'm saying, Mr. Nathan Ivey?
If Trump is allowed to stay, there's no democracy. Well, let's just say I agree in checks and balances. So that goes for everybody, every president. And if Trump oversteps his authority, then that's what Congress is supposed to do, to check him, to bring balance.
Well, there has never been a democracy in this country, as far as I consider, for 300 years. It's democracy for the average guy, the middle class and the poor, the people that are paying the taxes. But the rich and the powerful and the Congress and the Senate, those guys They get away to breaking laws and get away with it, and nothing is said. And I blame the people. Back in 1700s, when the British government controlled this country, it was all about taxation without representation. And they marched to the highest hill, kicked the British government out, and the rest is history. George Washington got on his white horse, and, well, a lot more that went into it, but we won't get into it right now. It was about the slaves and the Native Americans that bailed Washington out. We'll get into that history book at another day and another time. But you can agree with me that these impeachment hearings are basically, unless the Republicans see God or listen to Hillary Clinton, Bishop's message in the morning, unless Republicans read the Bible and have a change of face, their hearings will go no place, because you see the pattern of the Republicans. They voted everything that Trump wanted. And that Senator Nunes that I call the Benedict Arnold, the snake in the middle of the night, that gives feed Trump's all the information he wants, and now we know all about Rudolph Giuliani, everybody that call it greatest mayor. 9/11 saved him. No, 9/11 didn't save him. He's a snake, and he's always a snake, and I want to see him go down because of the dirty stuff that he did to blacks when he was holding term and mayor of New York for 2 terms. He was a nasty, vicious, nasty snake, and I want him to go down so bad I can taste it. But let's see how this play out. And I'm assuming you can agree with my assessments that these hearings are basically going nowhere.
Oh, they're going somewhere. They're going straight to an acquittal. That's where they're going. And then what does that mean for the Democrats or whoever else afterward? That's what it's going somewhere. It's just not going to end with Donald Trump being led away and it's going to be the end of his presidency. That's just not going to happen.
Well, yes, I agree with you. You can see how this is playing out. It's not going to happen because the Republican, as I indicated, it's a pattern of everything. They give Trump I like to know what kind of deal that Trump cut with all of those senators on the Republican side. He's probably giving them a bail of money. Come to my golf course. I'll give you free lessons.
He might.
Let me send you a couple of girls to your suite tonight. But what? That one snake, I call him Beauregard, Lindsey Graham, that Southern white cracker. That guy. When McCain was alive, he danced with McCain. Whatever McCain wanted, he would. As soon as McCain died, he jumped right over the Trump side. These guys are snake chompers, and they don't give a damn about none of us. So, as you indicated, yes, it's going to be an acquittal. It's going no place, but. And I guess I'm assuming the Democrats will take their bet that election time come, the people will see and say enough is enough, he's got to go. Well, it's a lot more to that, too. Every vote's got to be counted. I feel about that with the hacking and online voting. That's going to play into. So we don't know how that's going to fall to play. The internet companies are going to swim. Well, we see what the media is doing, MSNBC and all the channels. The percentage of voters call for Biden. The Biden could go to hell. He's a part of the mess, him and Bernie. You know how I feel. Elizabeth Warren, that's change that you can believe in. We don't know. We're going to hold her. We're going to put her foot to the fire, too, if she gets in there. Let's see how it plays out, choppers. And finally, you were making some statements of Bishop Hillard there. Were you just making a joke? I was wondering where you were going with that.
Well, I'll have a little fun playing one of his tunes. God did that thing. But no, I was talking about, everything I said was factual on all accounts. But he is going to be the chief of staff for Stephanie Dumas, who is a black female. Oh. She's the Hamilton County Commissioner, and she's the first ever African-American female elected to the Hamilton County Commission in Hamilton County or the state of Ohio. And it was widely reported that she and her chief of staff, primarily her chief of staff, the way it was coming out, had some issues with the other 2 commissioners, and he quit recently. And now I read this morning that Bishop Bobby Hilton, your friend Bishop Bobby Hilton, is going to be her new chief of staff. So I've been reading that. Like, what does that say for most of the morning? Because that's a very significant development to me.
Well, that commission or those two commissioners, you said they both quit, or one of them quit, and are
No.
both of them African American?
No. So what happened is when Stephanie Dumas was elected, it became a complete, Democrat majority. She joined Denise Driehaus, white female Democrat, and Todd Portune, white male Democrat. Todd Portune has been dealing with a lot of health issues, and he had to step down.
Oh, okay.
He had to step down. So now there's a black female named Victoria Parks, who was his chief of staff, who's going to play out the rest of his term, essentially.
Okay.
And what she's agreed to do is whoever wins the Democrat primary, Victoria Parks is going to give up that seat, and then the Democrat is going to play it out until November as the incumbent.
So, what is your issue with Hillard coming in, being her chief of staff or head of whatever that position? Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I mean, wouldn't that be
I don't know.
Uniting the black community?
I would say, if I had to say overall, it looks to me to be a bad thing. And what I mean by that is, I'm not saying that I think that Bishop Bobby Hilton is going to do a bad job or he's not capable. I don't know his capabilities in that way. I'm just saying, reading it from a distance, and I am at a distance. I don't have any inside knowledge. But reading it at a distance, I think you don't bring Bishop Bobby Hilton in unless there's some smoke, unless there's some kind of an issue. It just that's what it screams to me, that there's issues going down there for her to feel like she had to go get a man of his stature and his history to be her chief of staff.
Well, as much as I come to Cincinnati and I do go by his church, and she's a member of the church, I don't know if that makes a difference, but he did put some weight behind helping to get her into that position. And so, let's see how it plays out, if it's going to unite the black community, if it's going to put some of the power in the hands of the black community. I think it's all a good thing.
Yeah, but I don't know how it would ever do that. I mean, how is him being her chief of staff going to unite the black community? I don't see how that works.
It depends on the issues and what's in front of her and some of the things that he's proposing to do and some of the things that she's proposing to do. And I had a chance to meet her too. I was, the last time I was there, I stopped by the church, and little did I know, she was sitting right in front of me in the church. So I shook her hand when service was over, and congratulated her. She's very approachable. So we just have to hold our breath and sit back and see how it all plays out.
Yeah, and just read it, and speculate. That's what we're gonna do for now. But to me, it says to me that there were some issues that were very, very serious, right? Because, I'm sure she could have had, I don't know if she could have had the pick of the litter just because people, saying things about her political fortune. But to me, if I wanted to work in politics, if that's what I was trying to do, working for the first African-American commissioner in the state of Ohio could have been something that would have been attractive. So I'm sure that it wasn't like she couldn't get anybody to work for her. I would be surprised. Like, if she couldn't get anybody to work for her, then that says something else. So
what are you saying to me? There are other candidates more in tune to what she might have used versus.
No, I'm saying to you,
Bishop taking over their position.
No. What I'm saying is that Bishop Bobby Hilton is a man of stature and connections in the community. He runs a church. He's a leader of NAN. He's been all over the media. He does media. He got a lot of shit going on. Why is he becoming her chief of staff? To me, a man like that with that kind of what I just said and put out there doesn't just take that job because he needs it. He ain't taking that job because he needs it. He's taking that job for some other reasons. And I'm just speculating here that he's doing it because there must be some smoke going on down there. I don't know the nature of it. I know what's been reported, but that's what it says to me. Like, it's screaming it out like, oh, something's going on down here. So she needs a man who's the president of NAN, the National Action Network, to be her chief of staff. Has he ever been a chief of staff for somebody before? I don't know his resume. Maybe he has. And maybe he hasn't.
Are you saying he's aligning himself for a higher position someplace down the pipeline?
No, I'm not making any speculations as to what his motivations are. What I'm saying is the fact that she chose him tells me that some shit is going on down there, that she's got some kind of issues, like inter-office issues. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Like her relationship. Okay. So maybe let me give you more backstory to it. So her chief of staff, a man by the name of Dr. Paul Sohi, recently resigned. Over the last year, almost within the first 3 to 4 months of her being elected and actually being sworn in, there were media reports saying that there was some animus between her office, and in particular, Dr. Paul Sohi, and the 2 other Hamilton County commissioners, and I think their chiefs of staff. And Dr. Paul Sohi, and it was widely reported, he said it was reported that it was some racial issues, and that was it. He even filed some kind of racial discrimination something. He filed some kind of official document. I'm not sure where that went. So he leaves, and now she brings in the president of the National Action Network. I don't think that's a coincidence. That's what I'm saying.
How big is her position? Is that a powerful position she's in?
Yeah. I mean, very influential. I mean, the city of Cincinnati is in Hamilton County. Okay, so they represent the fiscal responsibility. I don't have their responsibilities in front of me. But yeah, just to answer your question very quickly, it's a big job. It's important.
Okay, and finally, Odell Beckham. Is this guy out of his damn mind? I mean,
are you whispering?
This is why
Are you whispering? Why?
No. And Odell Beckham. Why do you think the New York Giants, got rid of him? He's a head case. He's talented. He's good, but he's a head case, and the Giants did not want to deal with that. Now he goes to Cleveland. He's been there 2 years, and they couldn't get him under control. In that last game he played, he was saying to the media he wants out of Cleveland. Well, he's probably going to get his wish after this foolishness yesterday that he did. He's probably on his way out of Cleveland, and some other team will probably pick him up but you got to control that head case. This guy is sick and out of his mind. Don't understand the value of $1, but a guy like him, almost like the guy that New England left over, Go Davis, you got to lock these guys up. Let them go into jail and let them see how it feels to be behind bars.
Lock him up. He smacked the officer on the buttocks. That's customary in a football locker room. It's not that big a deal, in my opinion.
I say lock him up and put him in jail and let him see how it feels not having freedom, and maybe that will snap them up. These guys are out of, making millions of dollars. They think they can do and say whatever they want to do. The only thing they understand is put them behind bars. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you for the call and your whispering voice, using your inside voice. No inside voices. Can you project, please? Yeah, Odell Beckham Jr. is a black male, probably one of the most physically blessed athletes in the NFL in a long time. Some of his catches have been absolutely awesome and spectacular. He caught a ball with his left hand, I think, like behind. It was just amazing, absolutely amazing. And so he went. I don't know if he graduated, but he went to LSU. I remember that. And he was in the locker room when they had the national championship game and LSU won. Everybody's happy. They blowing champagne. People are smoking cigars. He's passing out money. And I saw the video. There was an officer who was kind of like bent over. And to me, he should have checked him. Like, what the hell? I mean, he definitely should have said something to Odell Beckham Jr. But an arrest warrant, that's cool. That's going too far. That's going too far. He's going too far with it. And before you say, what if it was a woman? Well, it wasn't. So we don't have to go that route. And, oh, Nate, you telling me just because he's in the locker room you can do anything? No, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is you got to bring a little bit of humility to the situation if you're law enforcement. Everybody, he's not disrespecting you. He's trying to make you part of this celebration. So to me, if you got a problem with it, tell him. He should have checked Odell on the video like, yo, bro, I know it's all fun and games, but I ain't part of the team. There it is. It's over with. That's it. I mean, an arrest warrant, and he's a professional athlete celebrating with his alma mater. That's just too far. Anybody who thinks that's a good idea, I see these people making excuses on ESPN. It's ridiculous. Should he have done it? No. But look around. You in a locker room. It's a championship game. You went through the season. Everybody's a little outside of themselves with the celebration. And Odell Beckham Jr. got too caught up. Maybe he was in his privilege. He's a big-time athlete. People know who he is. Maybe so. But I still think it's a small thing. Now, if you say, Nate, what if it was a female? That's different. Now we're going to take it to another level. I just feel like it's different. I still think, I don't know. I just feel like with the scenario we got going on right now, the officer should have, laughed it off, or he should have pulled Odell to the sides and just told him, like, yo, B, I know you happy, but you ain't that happy, and it's over with. But what probably happened is, and people do this a lot, I've seen this happen a lot. You're in a situation, but you don't say nothing. You leave the situation, now you pissed off because you didn't say nothing. So now you got to overreact because you're mad. And what you're really mad about is not necessarily what happened, but what you did or didn't do in the moment. You feel me on that? Talking about an arrest warrant. For what? That's a waste of an arrest warrant. You got these kids out here being abused, people selling all kind of drugs, people disappearing, showing up, kids in chimneys, and they got an arrest warrant for Odell Beckham Jr. because he playfully and very silly, because some adults play too much. You ever been around a grown person that play too much? At some point, you grow up. But that doesn't mean you should go to jail and have an arrest warrant. They're going too far with it. This is part of the reason why people look at law enforcement sometime and be like, oh, we can't rock with them. This is why. It's an overreaction. If Peyton Manning had smacked him on the ass, he probably asked him to autograph it. If Tom Brady had smacked him on the ass, Tom, can you autograph where you smacked me on my hiney? Because of the man love that follows those kind of players, but because it's Odell Beckham Jr. and all these athletes we gotta teach you something. We're always trying to teach us something. Oh, we gotta teach him something. That is ridiculous. That is a waste of time. It's a waste of time. I never would have did. Even if I had a problem with it, I'm not gonna call the police and file assault on you. No, if I felt that strongly, I would just tell you. I would just check you like, yo, B, I ain't like that, man. I ain't like that, yo. I know you joking. We all cool and all, but let's not do that no more. That's what you do to grown folks. And you move on. And that's it. There was some weak-ass stuff. And I guess what happened probably, and I wonder what happened when he got back to the police force. Clearly the officer didn't like it. And I can respect that. I can respect it. You ain't got to like it. You're not there part of the team. You don't get to put your hands on me. I feel you. I feel all of that. But locking him up or he got to do public service or anything like that, I don't know, man. I think that's just the over-incarceration of black people, right? Because people overreact when somebody of color does something. To me, it's not that big a deal, but what say you? 513-873-7134. We got Glenn on the line. Hey, good morning, Glenn. Welcome to the show.
What's going on, Nate? How you doing, man? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you, man. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Absolutely. Hey, had Odell Beckham Jr. been in Cincinnati, Joe Dieters probably would have charged him with a low felony instead of a misdemeanor.
I can see Joe doing something like that.
Vote Rucker. Vote for non-Rucker people. Nate, the reason why I'm calling today, first of all, the poll that I put in the Chop Shop, I actually put that in the Friends page. It was actually published today. And it was a poll. We often talk about polls and we say, well, I've never been polled. I know you've heard plenty of black people say, I'm like you. You probably said it yourself. This was actually a poll done with African Americans in mind. I think it was like 1,800 African Americans were polled, but it was, like I said, it was specifically African American voters. And like I said, I posted it on the Friends page. But I also posted another story in the Friends page, Nate. Now they're saying that there is strong evidence that the Georgia elections may have been hacked by the Russians. I mean, I just posted it maybe 10 minutes ago. And we all know that Stacey Abrams ran in the Georgia election for what? I believe Senate against Kemp. And Kemp, it was kind of, he was head of, not, he was already the governor, but he was also head of the election board. And he was, it's like, many Republican state legislators where, the guy in charge of actually running for re-election is also in charge of the election process. But yeah, I just posted it in there.
Okay.
Nate,
I'm looking at it right now. You got it from Politico? Okay, I see it here. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And a couple of days ago, I posted about what happened down in South Carolina. I believe it's South Carolina, but there's a guy's name is Hoffler, Hofeller or Hoffler. He passed away, and we talked about this maybe, 6-7 months ago. But his daughter went through all his old stuff and found zip drives with him stating how he would help the Republican Party disenfranchise young voters, black voters, and elderly voters. Basically, demographics of a Democratic voter. And she found these hard drives, and he was the lead man among Republicans all over the country. And he specifically sought out to disenfranchise these groups, Democratic groups. And what they did, he went around and they analyzed through Republican inside, Oppo research, who would be mostly affected by it. It says it in the story. And these are the things, Nate, that are the reason why, A, I can never be a conservative, but B, I can never vote for the conservative party. And I don't mean the Republican Party. And when I hear people like Droff all the time talk about, the impeachment hoax, you mentioned Les Parnas yesterday, and you watched some of Nate. Of course, I watched it. It's like first day of school. I couldn't wait for the 9 o'clock to come on because what happened last night was part 2. And this is another case of somebody sitting at the table, somebody who has firsthand information saying that not only did Donald Trump know about it, but Mike Pompeo knew about it, William Barr knew about it, Mike Pence knew about it. I mean, like I put in on Facebook, he's like the Tekashi 6ix9ine of politicians, right? Of the Trump Foundation and Inner Circle. And yesterday in the interview, he said being part of the Trump Inner Circle is like being in a cult. Can't you see that, Nate?
You're saying a lot, man. I mean, I will say when it comes to the cult part, there is a cult around Trump. There's a cult-ish like following around Trump. There certainly is, no doubt about it. And that's one of the things I got from is his name Parnas?
Lev Parnas.
Lev Parnas, yeah. That's one thing I got. Like when he talked about having a shrine to Donald Trump in his office, right, and just the way the group think and how they all just kind of got in line, it was really creepy. Like, Lev Parnas comes across like some dude that escaped Scientology or something like that. The way he's talking about the Trumps.
Yeah, he was a Russian-born businessman who, had his little shady parts, and, people haven't talked about this, but he's given out like tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, I believe to 13 or 14 Republican, what am I trying to say, congressmen in Washington. And people aren't talking about this. So that's what he's been charged with, illegal campaign finance laws. But, the thing that gets me the most, Nate, is not even the Ukraine bribery. It's not even the holding back the funds. You know what I'm mostly upset with? I'm mostly upset at what they tried to do to the UN ambassador, Marsha Yovanovitch. Nate, I worked in county government, man. I don't know if you have or city government, but if you know anything about it, government workers, man, they just want to put in, Nate, 30 to 35, 40 years and get the hell out of that and retire with a good, at a younger age where they can enjoy the stuff. And this lady seems like it's just a career politician. She believed in the American way and passing on our form of democracy and all that crap. And Donald Trump basically fired this lady, stalked this lady, sent out messages saying, she's going to be in a little trouble or she's going to catch a little heat. And they're saying that, maybe you should, this is all part of Les Parnas. And they got text messages and emails saying that maybe we should, check out call the security forces. They called this lady at 1:30 in the morning and told her to get the hell out of a continent. Think about that. You need to come back to the United States. They called it 1:30 in the morning. So basically, you grabbing a couple of pair of panties, a couple of suit jackets, some shoes, and don't forget your bullet, and let's go. I mean, it is unimaginable. And so things like that, I mean, again, and I told you this a long time ago. Now, you got to admit, I said they picked on the wrong lady. This lady was highly respected. She was known for doing her job very well. And on one side of the argument, she's trying to protect Ukraine and pass on our form of democracy while fighting off Vladimir Putin and the Russians because they've invaded Crimea, and also have to fight off your own government. You also have to fight off a president who's morally corrupt. Morally corrupt. And I said it, Nate, I said it last year. 2020 vision, man. I am not going to let you black conservatives and dropping the rest of your little motley crew of misfits lie in the chop shop. We deserve better, and I'm going to give you better. Nate, I got to get out of here, but you know how it is, man. In the end, I hope they getting what I'm spitting. You sissies, I'm out.
Appreciate the call. We'll go ahead and rack them. I like the creativity. Thank you. Interesting. I did see that post that you talked about, two of them inside the friends page. Thank you so much. It's interesting. I'm going to check that out. Very interesting. Black turnout could make or break Democrats in 2020. That's an old story. I'm going to post that. Goes back to like last year, but I still think it's worth the time. Very interesting. Before I get into that, if I get a chance to, because we're over 10 a.m. and I've got many things to do today, I've got to make a move here. But let's go back to the phones. Let's talk to, I believe this is Drop. What up, Drop?
Good morning, Mr. Ivy. How are you doing, sir, this TGIF Friday?
I'm doing great. Doing great. Welcome.
Good. Well, thank you for having me. I'm going to do this real quick. I just heard the Chop Shop overseer, Glenn from Mason, and we ain't getting what he's spitting, but I just got to say this real quick, Mr. Ivy. What do you have to lose? It's the economy, stupid. 2 Supreme Court justices, the border wall, stop the flow of illegal immigrants, China trade deal, 2017 Tax Act, First Step Act, U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade deal, no collusion, no obstruction, 90% approval with the Republican Party, lowest unemployment for millennial African Americans, best economy in 50 years, jobs, jobs, jobs. What's in your wallet? Drop Squad 52, dropping science to anyone who wants to catch it. Be safe in them streets, choppers.
We will, and rack him. Matter of fact, he gets an A for enthusiasm, that energy. I like it. Now, he said one thing that needs to be discussed this week. I mean, it's very interesting. And again, there are smarter people than I'm out there in these kind of matters. Perhaps they can chime in some form or fashion. But this week, we saw 2 things happen that seem to work against one another as it relates to the Trump administration. So we saw the development of the impeachment process. The Democrats have impeached Donald Trump. Now, will he be removed from office? We don't know. But he's been impeached. You notice Republicans never talk about that. By all facts and figures, Donald Trump has been impeached. He's no different than Bill Clinton. Will he be removed from office? I don't think so. So the Democrats are working very hard during an election year to do whatever they can to make sure Donald Trump wins. I believe that the process of impeachment is both 2 things, political and procedural. It's political, as I think, in my humble opinion, I think anytime you have an impeachment process is inherently political, just because of how I understand that it works and the nature of it, meaning that it's usually the opposition party trying to get rid of you. But it's procedural in the sense that you got checks and balances. And just because Donald Trump is the president, to quote Lev Parnas, he is not king. He is not king. And the way you stop him from being king, it's so funny because everything that the Republicans and Donald Trump said about Obama, Trump does. Oh, he ain't no king. Obama never tried to be king. Trump, well, I mean, in terms of abusing the authority of the presidency, some could argue that he has. Okay? So you had that. I mean, this is the impeachment process brought by the Democrats, both procedural but also political, can only be an attempt to injure him politically. That's one way of looking at it. At the same time, the Democrats They gave Trump a big win with this U.S.-China unique trade deal. Journalists are saying and reporting that it's going to have a positive impact in the state of Ohio. So if you live in Ohio, that's one reason why you should care about it. But does it protect American workers or American interests? I mean, there's a lot of speculation out there, and a lot of smart people are saying no. But either way, the Democrats have helped to deliver a legislative win for Trump. To this point, Trump has had only one other legislative win, and that was the tax overhaul. Now Trump will be able to have two things. He'll be able to say, so Trump and his media acolytes, after he is acquitted, they'll go to the media and say, we told you. We told you. Oh, the Democrats are wasting your money and your time. At the same time, they'll say, hey, Trump said he was going to give you these bilateral deals, just between two nations because he thinks that's a better. Hey, now he's got a brand new deal with China. It's going to be great for American workers. Very interesting. Very interesting. We'll see how that all plays out. Is that 2 wins for Trump? Or is that like a win and a half? Or no wins? You tell me. I'm trying to get some of your chat in here before we roll out. Mesa Marler writes, 1 of 4 ever to be impeached in U.S. history. Speaking of Donald Trump, which I don't know if that's the 4. I think I read that somewhere. Let's just say he's been officially impeached. Obama was never impeached. Pamela writes, low-paying jobs. I mean, Drop just called in and did an infomercial for Trump. That was a straight-up infomercial. Mason Muller writes, can I debate Drop right now? Don't go anywhere. Not right now. I got to make a move, but we can certainly pick it up for next week. Beethoven writes, Claire Smith is a female baseball writer who made a living in the locker room. Oh, yeah, she is a black woman. She faced mad scrutiny initially, but is highly respected among her peers and the players. But y'all support black women, don't y'all? Oh, boy, I think he's making a point. Clue Magic writes, the cop security guard probably got the cables put on him by his fellow officers, right? You know what, Clue, man? I was thinking the same thing. Because there's some weak-ass people that's heavily influenced by other people's opinion like that. Like, one of your buddies say, why you let him do that to you, man? That's a bad look. Well, I hadn't thought about that, but you're right. It is a bad look. Oh, man. Ray writes, females should not be allowed in the locker room, my opinion. Well, my opinion is that if female reporters can go into the male locker room, then male reporters should be able to go into the female athletes' locker room, like in the WNBA, who this week made history with a brand new collective bargaining agreement with the female athletes. So now what's going to happen, this is landmark. So now people may have known this or not known this, but for all these years, all those WNBA stars, they ain't making no money. They making money like you and me out here. Part-time jobs overseas and all that kind of stuff. And here you are in the WNBA, a product of the NBA, the National Basketball Association, which is uber profitable. And the WNBA teams are owned by the NBA owner. So you might, it's like a twofer. Not every NBA team has a WNBA affiliate, but every WNBA team has an NBA affiliate. And now this week, there's going to be a 53% increase with the current, with the current makeup of the teams and the current players. Yeah. So now the top players in the NBA, WNBA, will have an opportunity to win, to earn between $200,000 and $300,000 a year. And as I said, it was a 50% increase. So what does that tell you? Now, if somebody said, listen, I want to pay you $150,000 a year to play basketball, that ain't a bad deal. That's not a bad deal. And I'm staying in top shape too. I'm out here hooping on people. But with the NBA so profitable, I think this is a step in the right direction. I think that is a step in the right direction right there. Listen, that is my time. Thank you so much for being here. I will be with you I'll be with you again Monday morning, bright and early at 8 a.m. All right. Until then, take care of yourself. Have an excellent weekend. All right. And we shall talk real soon. Remember our motto, choppers. Winners focus on winning. Losers focus on winners. So stay focused and stay winning. Speaking of which, let me give you a heads up. So next week, we got an interview with Kelly Prather. Somebody was saying, like, it's not that serious, Nate. It's Kelly Prather. It is that serious. And for me, that starts the foundation for my questions for all the Hamilton County commissioners. Right? It's very serious. So we got Kelly Prather next week. I've got an upcoming sponsor next week. Very excited about. I think it's perfect for the brand new year. Like, how many people are into, like, vegan recipes? Right? Like non-meat recipes. Yeah. I got an upcoming sponsor, and she is promoting a brand new book that's available for you. I'll talk more about it starting on Monday and throughout the next couple of weeks. And we'll get her on next week, hopefully, to give you some details on how you can download and or purchase what she has to offer. I'm all about it, man. I mean, anything that's healthy, healthier options, something, I'm all about that. I'm all about that life. And millennials are all about that life as well. In fact, the culture is about that life. More and more people are realizing that they want to live a healthy life. They don't want to be like their great-great-grandma. They don't want to be like Big Mama from Soul Food, can't get around. You got the gout. You got the sugar. Got all these issues, high blood pressure. We trying to live. You're trying to live. And to do that, you got to have some great recipes. How many people like to cook? You like to experiment? I know of at least 2 people who I know. This is right up their alleys. So the brand new sponsor is kicking it off on Monday. And of course, I'll tell you more about it on Monday. But I want to just tease just a little bit. So a lot of stuff going on. We'll talk real soon. Have an excellent Friday. And I'm out.